babies. Hi, how are you? Hey there. Hi, cutie patooties. Hi, sugar butts. Hi, sweetums. What the fuck? I think I'm thinking about work too much. I almost said, hi, lanthanated tungsten. What the fuck? Hi, lanthanated tungsten. Hi. What the hell? All right, thinking about work already. Damn. Okay. And this message might be a little, that might be for me too. It's a general message, so take what resonates, leave the rest. It is also timeless, so whenever you find it is the right time. I ask you to stay curious and when you get triggered, or maybe, you know, because we're gonna do a uncovering what's in the subconscious, what's hidden in the shadows, if you will. And I ask that you remain curious. Because if it's hidden in the subconscious or hidden in the shadow, your ego will immediately reject it and be like, no, that's not me. Because I'm surviving. The ego is surviving and in power when you're denying, the truth, if you will. Stay curious, still, if it's not your message, it's not your message, but I figured I'd let you know, okay? Yeah. So we've got Sin So Sweet by Warren Ziders. That's a song that came on shuffle. Yes. Nobody knows your body so well, every detail's in my mind. If holding you's wrong, don't call me right. Lock me out of heaven for the night. Hang up your wings, crawl into me. Cover me up under your sheets. Roll back your eyes, sink in your teeth. Show me that side nobody sees. I'm addicted to you. You're addicted to me. I never tasted sin so sweet. No Novocaine, wanna feel everything. I want the pleasure, don't hold the pain. Light this ice-cold soul on fire. Whisper all your dark desires. Hang up your wings. Okay. And I was like, just let me unfold. Because we also have the Eight of Wands in reverse starting out. That's like slowing down. I kind of got delays from that. And then we got Seven of Swords in reverse. And that's uncovering the truth. And then we have the Page of Rods. Okay, ow, where'd it go? I dropped it already. Nice, it's still in reverse, so you ain't getting out of this one. So what I'm getting here, when we're on the path, the right path, like say things are amping up, and all of a sudden we decide to indulge in some self-sabotage, if you will. And it's normal, the ego especially, like, wants everything to stay the same, and it has, control when you're not raising in vibration, right? So the ego will throw some delays there, and you'll give into some sins so sweet, if you will. And with this, no Novocaine, want to feel everything. I want the pleasure, don't hold the pain. And remember, this is all subconscious. You'll find something to slow you down, whether you get distracted or it's either things are really amping up and you're moving quickly, and then suddenly you're letting yourself get distracted by other things. And not that it's not, it's still a truth, it's still an honest thing that you could easily be distracted, but it's like I'm seeing this like Page of Wands as like somebody who starts something but never finishes. So you want to start all these new things, or you were really focusing on a manifestation and things were like ramping up, you're feeling good, and then you just like plummet, or you're like, well, instead of like focusing on, like, you're getting ready, opening space in your life for it, stuff like that, you get distracted. We're saying, distracted when it's actually your ego distracting you, like purposely pulling you off the path. And you like kind of start a new venture instead of like sticking to, that really, like, it's like you sense that the growth is happening rapidly, and it's, you're ramping up. And so it's like this fear of like, oh my God, what if I actually get it? What if and like, so that fear sets in and then causes these distractions and delays. And we have the Five of Cups on the bottom of the deck. And that's kind of what I'm seeing with that. No Novocaine, want the pleasure. I want to feel everything, I want the pleasure, don't hold the pain. So you kind of like, instead of watching and observing what's happening, I mean, because this is a super unconscious pattern, so like your ego knows how to trick your mind into like looking the other way and doing it behind your back in a way, essentially. So you're tricked and your thinking gets twisted to where you don't catch this. And so you might fall into like depression, bad habits of like, or you get this like sadness while you're waiting, because we have the Three of Wands here. You get the sadness of like waiting on this manifestation, and then you just fall into this like, oh, well, it's not gonna come, like I need to focus on something else, like, instead of staying dedicated to this path, because things were ramping up, you felt it energetically. But because of this waiting, there was that sadness. And that's, and what I'm getting and I'm feeling is like something about the actual, like, you can feel deep within you that this actual thing is happening, this change is coming, and that scares the fuck out of you. It scares you to where you sabotage, you find something to distract yourself, you slow you down, come off the path, because it's such a scary feeling of like, whoa, what if this actually happens? What if this actually comes in? And then like, what if I lose it? What if what am I gonna do with this infinite abundance? Because your ego and your smaller mind can't grasp, your smaller self, you're not your higher self, can't grasp if anyone in your family has never, in any lifetime, you've never experienced infinite abundance, you can't grasp that. You can't grasp the, what that would actually look like, what would it actually feel like having infinite abundance, being in that. And so there's that looking, for your ships to come in, you feel it coming. And then you fall into this like self-destructive behavior, sadness, depression, just lower vibration, falling into that because you honestly don't know what you would do with that. Like, and I'm not saying, like, yes, you consciously want it, but subconsciously there's these fears that have to be looked at. And you got to catch yourself in these habits, because now, you know, we're able to expose it, uncover it. Anything else? Light this ice cold soul on fire. So, and you may not be comfortable with this void space before, because you got to get rid of shit. You got to make space for your manifestations. You know, whatever's coming in, whatever greatness, success is coming in, you got to make room for that. And you're not comfortable with, light this ice cold soul on fire. You're not comfortable with the emptiness, the darkness, the, that void space, that like, I'm seeing just like, you know, an empty castle that you know, you go to talk and it's like echo. So you fall back into, so what I'm getting here, especially if you're trying to manifest like a relationship or something of the sort, you'll start falling into like, instead of being comfortable with, you know, the void space and like settling into that and accepting like where you are, you'll like go to patch something, use like a some sort of vice, which is like, I'm addicted to you, you're addicted to me, I never tasted sin so sweet. You go to find something to, or someone to fill the space while you wait for this manifestation to come in. But then because you're filling it with something else, and you came at it with a lower vibration of like, I'm uncomfortable with this void space, so I'm filling it with something else and giving up, essentially, you know, starting a new project, never finishing, never following through, and just like starting a bunch of projects. And you know, you have you can start, but you can't finish. Why does it always have to go sexually? I don't understand. You can start, but you can't finish. So what, like, then you find something to fill the void. Because of this discomfort with the void space, you have to get rid of shit in order for this manifestation to come in. Then you get uncomfortable of like, okay, well, maybe it's not coming in, and you fall off the path and start something else. Indulge in interacting with someone or something to make you feel comfortable. It's like, and that ego and shadow aspect of yourself is so uncomfortable, and it's like, we don't like this. And it's because that void space is like literally showing you, and sitting in that and feeling that emptiness of like, wow, there's a big, you know, it's like you have all the money in the world and you just bought a house and you have no furniture, and you have like, you know, it's exciting because then you can go fill the house with any style of furniture that you want. Whatever, you know, just an example. But it's like you have this anxiety around that void space because you've always thrown a Band-Aid on it and looked for some sort of addiction coping mechanism to deal with that feeling. But that exact coping mechanism, that feeling, you know, whatever, to the sin so sweet, if you will, the addiction, stops your manifestation in its tracks. It slows it down again. With that 8 of Wands, it slows it down. It stops it from coming, because then it's like, well, okay, I can't land this plane if there's another fucking plane on the strip there, you know. So universe is like, cool, you asked for this, and then you let some other plane land right where I need to land. Okay, well, I guess I'll go somewhere else then. And you said no. You know, you all right, well, we'll just find something somewhere else to land. Okay, whatevs. No sweat off my balls. Like, I guess you don't want it anymore. Okay. And then the other song that I got, I was curious if it was going to be relevant, but yes, it is. I'm assuming. Let's get into it. It's 19 something by Mark Willis. I saw Star Wars at least 8 times, had Pac-Man pattern memorized, and I've seen the stuff they put inside Stretch Armstrong. I was Roger Starbuck in my backyard, had a shoebox full of baseball cards, and had a couple of Evel Knievel scars on my right arm. Well, I was a kid when Elvis died, and my mama cried. It was 1970 something in the world that I grew up in. Farrah Fawcett hairdo days, bell bottoms and 8-track tapes. Looking back now, I can see me. Oh man, did I look cheesy. But I wouldn't trade those days for nothing. It was 1970 something. So there might be another, like, one of those addictions might be like thinking back to the good old days, like, oh, I was so great then. Like, were you really? Because you're in a higher vibration now. So was it really that good? What I'm here, and especially because I just looked at this card, we have the Magician in reverse. That was an illusion. So your mind and your ego are telling you, like, oh, like, remember when you did this, like, back in the day, you know, reminiscing. And that's part of this, like, falling off the your path and, you know, filling the void space with bullshit. You reminisce on the good old days, like, and I'm putting that in quotes, good old days. It was an illusion. You weren't awake. You weren't aware of things. So you were living under, you know, you were falling prey to the smoke and mirrors of things. And then you're, you know, because you were delusional and not, you know, consciously aware of, like, what's hidden beneath, your you know, your ego, your mind is like, oh, those were such good days. Like, what was I doing differently then? You were not paying attention. You were asleep. You were delusional. You were under the illusions. And so, like, you might fall prey, you know, start living in the past and, like, fall to that of and start, like, you know, giving into those old patterns of, like, oh, what was I doing then? Or you're just, like, overly, like, getting into that 5 of Cups energy of, like, that depression of, like, oh, I was just, like, a better person then, like, I was happier then, what happened? And then that, like, you spiral into that, like, lower vibration. And it's, like, okay to reflect on the past and, like, you know, think about memories and stuff, but it's like you're using that as a way to get back into that depression of, like, oh, I was better then, I was this, I was that. But that's all an illusion. You're falling prey to your own manipulation. You know, your ego's, like, manipulating the fuck out of you. Like, you're just falling prey to your own shit. Because that wasn't true. You weren't. You were just under the fog still, and now you see things for what they are now. And yes, that is difficult, but there's no going back from that. You can try, but then your life is going to be, like, because your body is more sensitive to things now, and you fall back into those old habits of, like, trying, like, how you were living before, you're gonna feel awful. And you'll be like, why is all this happening? Because you're a higher vibrating being now, and you're falling back into how you were living before, and that timeline ain't there. It ain't it no more. Your body doesn't like that. And interestingly, when I was done shuffling this deck, we had adversity at the bottom of the deck. I was gonna shuffle it, but I just thought that was interesting because it's like your ego, your shadow will cause, like, adversity, conflict, drama to, like, distract you and pull you off of this path. And maybe, like, we all do this. Like you hear like some hot goss and it's like so juicy, you're like, what? And then you just fall prey into these like traps of oh wow, like and then you fall into the trap of like falling into a lower vibration. And you know, those little things are all set up, you know, by your ego to just not progress and not keep going, because that's scary to the ego, because that's the unknown. And when you have more control over yourself and the free will over yourself and more control over your ego, the ego doesn't get to win anymore. The ego doesn't get to you know, be the tantrum throwing toddler anymore. Man, that was triple T right there. How'd you like that? So that's why these self-limiting behaviors, self-sabotaging, all of that stuff happens, and creating adversity and drama and falling back into these like lower vibrations, this depression, this weird grief. Like, you know, this hasn't even come in yet, and you're already being like, oh, I'm gonna lose it. No, shut the fuck up. Fuck off with that. It's coming in. Catch yourself in those. And then, you know, ask yourself, inquire why you want to fall off this dedicated path and start another venture when you haven't even finished or followed through on like what you were needing to do on this other thing. Or it may not be like a manifestation. It may just be you doing the work. And, you know, you start feeling like your life shifting, things are getting more exciting. You're like, damn, like you have that mindset of like, oh, what's coming next? I'm excited. What is that going to feel like? And so, and then that's when you know you're in the right groove. You are like, you know, when they're racing, people like race cars and stuff, they find the groove and they just like stay in there. And it's like, I mean, I've personally never done like circle track or anything like that, but I've heard like, you know, when you get in the groove, it's like, the car is like driving itself. It's so you get in the groove and then you fall out of the groove, you know, and then you decide to go like go onto the grass and spin out because you let this like distraction happen. And that page energy is that immature like kid energy, that tantrum throwing toddler, if you will. And so it's like that ego comes out and like throws you back into these like just immature behaviors that you have indulged in before. But whenever you get into those, that's good, because it's showing you what needs to be healed, what needs to be because you know, if it's a like a behavioral thing from when you were a child, then you can look at it and be like, why did I start acting like that? I wonder why I did that. Or, you know, what hurt and wounding happened to me that made me believe that I didn't deserve. Because it all usually, I'll say 99.9% of the time, it's like a self-worth thing, you know, on whatever level it is. It's a self-worth thing because, you know, it's never happened before. And, you know, these familial patterns and curses of like, oh, well, we've never had that. Our family doesn't do that. You know, that type of thing. Or it's just like a deep embedded belief where it's not even spoke about. So that's a great way to be like, okay, what's getting triggered here? And when you fall into that sadness and that depression of like, why am I in here? Why do I suddenly think that I don't deserve this and this won't follow through? What's causing this? What needs to be looked at? What needs to be healed? And that would be like an appropriate amount, like a reflection into the past with that 19-something song. It was dawning of a new decade when we got our first microwave. Dad broke down and finally shaved them old sideburns off. I took the stickers off my Rubik's Cube, watched MTV all afternoon. My first love with Daisy Duke and them cut off jeans. A space shuttle fell out of the sky and the whole world cried. And that, to me, that's saying like, when have things fallen apart for your family? Like, say you grew up with like financial strife, you know, you were blamed for things as a child, and, you know, like, or you took blame, like your parents were divorced and you took the blame for that. Like, even though like they never said like, oh, it's your fault or anything like that. Fuck, maybe they did. But you know, you took blame for like the strife that happened in your family, just because you didn't know, and there was no way to be like, no one was there to clarify like, this isn't your fault. There was no communication. So you had the space shuttle fell out of the sky and the whole world cried. So, you know, you had that childlike wonder and like hopefulness and dreaming quality of yourself, and that was shot out of the sky by, you know, traumatic events, or, you know, your parents started to be like, that's, you need to stop using your, you know, you're using your imagination, that's not real, or, you know, whatever, that type of thing. So as you got older, that part became dampened more and more, and until you eventually stopped, and now you're coming back to this like awakening and raising in vibration and understanding that your brain, your mind can do some crazy ass shit as long as you have that deep belief within. And so it's, you know, you're circling back of like healing that stuff. So that would be like an interesting thing to look at and heal, of like, okay, when was I told, you know, oh, stop that, that's just your imagination, that's never gonna happen for you. That type of stuff. Blame. I accept responsibility for my well-being. So on that, how I was speaking like, oh, somebody shot like your balloon out of the sky, whatever, you may have been clinging, you know, your ego, your shadow, even your conscious mind could have been clinging to this, like, oh, well, they did this to me, like they made my childhood shitty, like this is why. Like, yes, that stuff did happen to you, and those traumatic events happened to you. You were told like, oh, we're never gonna make money, you know, what, that weird stuff like that. We don't do that. Our family doesn't succeed, like, you know, whatever. You were told all these things, so you like cling to this blame. It's easy to hand off the responsibility to the people that did this to you. But as you get older and keep raising in vibration and keep doing the work, you have to take responsibility. You have free will. And yes, these awful things did happen to you. Maybe your favorite subconscious blockage that you like to use to fill the void is reflecting on the past when things happen to you. And it's like a don't want the Novocaine, you want the pleasure, and don't hold the pain. Like, you, it's like this addiction to like holding on to like how you were like fucked over by your parents, or, you know, somebody that like took a, yeah, and I'm feeling like that like heart wounding feeling from that, like, oh, well, this chick broke my heart. And so like you're addicted to blaming them, like, well, I'll never be the same and they fucked me up and all this. Like, yeah, okay, that's true, they did hurt you, and you will never be the same from that, because you can use that as an opportunity to shift into a whole ass new person that's higher vibrating, doing the work, releasing past trauma and, you know, familial curses, that type of stuff. You can, yes, you will never be the same, but you can also do that in a positive way. Instead of blaming this person, it was meant to happen for you so you could undo this bullshit. It's really easy to, you know, put the responsibility on others, especially because our ego loves to do that. When we're under, you know, we're allowing our ego to have us pinned down by the neck, you know, their foot on their neck, on our necks. It's so easy to just blame other things and not take responsibility. But as soon as you take the responsibility of like, oh, I have control of my life now. Yeah, those people did hurt me, but I don't have to live in this like wounding from them, this resentment from them. I don't have to like stew in that. And that, once again, that's like giving me that 5 of Cups. Like, that might be your favorite, that might be your ego's jam, is to like blame, be like, yeah, well, I'm hurt, and you know, that's why I'm never gonna be in a good relationship, and never have the good job, you know, whatever you're clinging to. Like, and I'm getting all of you, it's different. Like, you might have like, it's really easy to find people, connections, like friendships and community, but then you can't find a job to save your life. Or, you know, and that's just your belief, obviously. Or, you know, you can, it's really easy to make money and find jobs and, you know, create revenue, but you can't find a person, a partner, a community, friends to save your life. You know, so it's like all, you know, you have like things that you are confident in, and like maybe you were able to overcome the wounding no matter what in those things, and you don't take the blame, except for, or you don't blame others. You take the blame, you take the responsibility, so those parts of your life flourish. But then, you know, it comes down to, you know, oh, my mommy, so like a lot of men, the song that's coming to mind is The Man of the House by Corey Kent. Say your mom, you had a single mom, and so like you were the masculine of the home, and so she, you know, did that emotional incest with you. I know that sounds disgusting, but that's like her expecting, like treating you as a partner instead of a child. So she would like come to you with like, oh my God, work today. Like, you know, not that it was like any creepy, weird Freudian stuff. I mean, it is kind of, but they would come home, like your mother would come home, and a mother figure, whatever, you know, take it how it resonates. It could be roles reversed, dad, whatever. Your parent would come home, and because they were a single parent, and you know, they had to work a lot, or you know, and they were trying to you know, raise kids, so they didn't have like another person to lean on, or they were so traumatized from like the previous person, and you know, it was a turbulent household, so they didn't like date or anything really. So they would come home and unload on you like they would to a partner. Like, oh my God, today at work, blah, 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 blah. Or, you know, they would expect you to like hold these burdens of like, oh my God, we're not doing well financially. I don't know what we're gonna do. Like, just unloading like shit onto a kid that really should not be unloaded on. And that's called emotional incest, of like this expectation of like, you know, they're treating the child as like they would a partner, and expecting that child to hold the burden of, you know, what like a husband and wife would hold, you know, and work together in that. But the child is still a child. They don't have that bandwidth and life experience to deal with that. So then all of this stuff is being loaded on them. So I'm getting a lot of the men had that that are watching. And so like there was this intertwining with your mother, or your, you know, your parents, if you had it with your dad and your, you know, whatever, take it how it resonates, obviously. Or, you know, it was just like daughter, mother, because, you know, I'm just getting like single parent and child that getting dumped on. And so like this, oh my God, it's getting into a whole ass thing, ain't it? Woo! Okay, so I'll read some of the lyrics. Man of the House by Corey Kent. Had to grow up before I started shaving, more worried about mama than running and playing outside. She didn't sleep at night, I guess neither did I. I didn't know how she did. what she did, but she did it. Ooh, I have goosebumps. So this is very much confirmation. Like this is a wounding here that and this blame, subconscious blame, because your childhood was ripped away from you. And there may be blame. Let me further get into it before I get too wild and out. Knew someone was missing, but for her, I hid it. I didn't know how she did. Okay. Knew someone was missing, but for her, I hid it. She had enough on her plate, so I tried to take his place. Be strong when you ain't, and hold on when you can't. She won't tell you she needs you, but you can't let her down. So hide those shaken hands, be a rock when you feel like sand. It turns out all I was back then is all that I am now. Just a boy trying to be the man of the house. I have goosebumps all over my body. Oof. So, and this song especially, someone new shows up with some flowers. They go out for a couple of hours. Home alone's fun for any other kid, but I couldn't watch her go through it again, trying to fill the shoes that ain't my size, but the world don't give a damn about the age of the dog in the fight. So be strong when you ain't, hold on when you can't. She can't tell you, but she needs you, and you can't let her down. Hide those shaken hands, be a rock when you feel like sand. It turns out all I was back then is all that I am now, just a boy trying to be the man of the house. Married my girl, and we had a few babies. Tried to give them the childhood life never gave me. Now they probably can't tell that I'm still telling myself, be strong when you ain't, and hold on when you can't. So that wounding can cause, that's why I'm seeing, especially if you have like relationship issues, stuff like that, that there's this subconscious blame of like, well, and that might be that pull of your mother or father, your parent, still tugging on you. And that because you had to be, there was that emotional incest, and you had to fill shoes that weren't your size, that was not your job, but you were forced into it, whether you know it or not. It was guilt, and it was, all unconscious from your parents as well, because they were living unconsciously, they were emotionally immature, and so they dumped all this stuff on you, all this responsibility, and you took on the role of partner instead of child. And I'm not saying in a creepy way, it was just that emotional part and taking on the burdens of the house and all of that when because you had an emotionally immature parent that couldn't handle it on their own. And they couldn't comprehend that that's what they were doing. They weren't consciously aware they were putting burdens on you. Man. And then now there's this tugging from that parent still, if they're still alive, that keeps you tethered. And it's almost like, God, they really do not want me to say this. So maybe consciously, maybe unconsciously, this parent, if they're still alive, or, they're on the other side and still on some low vibe shit, or that memory is tugging at you and keeps, so as soon as you go to like reach for something and grow and choose happiness for yourself, because you were always giving to the parent, you were always giving to them. How it said, like, someone new shows up with some flowers, they go out for a couple of hours. Home alone's fun for any other kid, but I couldn't watch her go through it again, trying to fill the shoes that ain't my size, but the world don't give a damn about the age of the dog in the fight. So there's always that concern, that worry, that memory of how bad it was, and you don't want that. You wanted to feel protective of that parent, and they also indulged that by dumping all this stuff on you, because they were essentially being an energy vampire, because they were, instead of learning how to cope with this stuff on their own, they were codependent on your energy, that strength, that resiliency that you were showing for them and holding things together for them. And this isn't your fault, like you're a kid, that helped them stay in this emotionally immature energy where they're codependent. They can't do things on their own. They always, and then this relationship continues where, yeah, you're on your own and you're in a relationship, but then, they're constantly tugging at you, even though, that parent might have moved on, they're married, they've got their own life. There's still that tug, that energetic cord of they're still tugging on you and pulling on you, because there's some fear from the parent. Yeah, see, that throat chakra stuff, they don't want me to say that. There's some fear with that parent that if this person leaves, I need to make sure that my connection is still strong with my child, so I can fall on them when I'm alone. And, because I can't be alone. They can't be alone. They can't deal with this stuff themselves. So if you go into reach towards a relationship, they just, keep that leash tight so that you can't fully, and it's like an energetic thing. So like an emotional thing. So they can't, say you can't fully fall into like love, or like, it just never gets deep, or you have this fear of getting, like you always stay on the surface with these people. And that's part of that energetic tug from that parent, from that relationship of like having to be, either parent your parent or like be a partner to your parent instead. Damn. So that needs to be looked at as well. And that's, that whether that parent is aware of this or not, they tug on you and keep you, they may start seeing that, as soon as this person starts getting happy. So yes, your responsibility is still here, but this is also what's happening is, they may start seeing you get happy, or, have more freedom and, pulling away and not giving into this like energy, vampire energy. And that's when they tug at the leash. They gotta pull you back somehow. Oh, I'm so hurt. Trauma, life, pay attention to me. That type of thing. Like something has to happen to where you're like distracted and pulled back. Like, your mom falls down the stairs or something, and you're like, and there's, man, damn, this is getting wild. I'm getting is like some of them, like if they injured themselves or something, it was partly purposeful to get you to come back. Like what they're ran by, which is unconscious behaviors, that pushed them to do some crazy ass shit, wreck their car, fall down the stairs, this crazy stuff to yoink you back, pull you back, give you some drama to distract you from being happy and moving on from that connection, that like intertwined emotional incest. So, and that pulls you back, that keeps you from reaching that goal also. But yes, you can blame them, but you have the ability to cut the cord. Now that now, like, this might resonate for you or it may not, I don't know. But, be curious to this and start observing. And it may not be a parent, it may just be a family member, a friend that, keeps you single, that type of thing. Be aware of that, and start observing and being like, oh, suddenly, my friend needs like money and like is having all this crazy stuff happen because they noticed that I was moving towards somebody that would pull me away from them. So they gotta keep a tight leash on me because they get your energy. They don't want to do the work, so they siphon your energy. They use your energy to stay stable. And, as soon as because I'm getting like a lot of you have moved on from the narcissist. You've had these narcissistic relationships, and, these people, your family members, your friends or whatever, were okay with you being in these relationships and let it happen because you were unhappy, and that made them feel better, and they still got, you know, what they could out of you. Because you were like depleted and drained constantly. You weren't in this strong energy of like doing the work and seeing what the hell's going on, because the wool was pulled over your eyes. And then now that you're moving on into these higher vibrations, they're seeing you move on. They're feeling that cord being pulled away, and you know, you're choosing happiness. So you meet somebody, that type of thing. They're going to try and pull that chain back. You know, like I said, injury, sickness, whatever, you know, some dramatic breakdown to where you have to show up, because it was always you showing up and holding it together for them. And some I'm getting are very over the top because they're so emotionally immature that they like, you know, are hurting themselves. They're doing some crazy shit because they're so dependent on draining your energy and keeping you in that connection. And it might be super unconscious. Who knows? But that's what I'm getting is like, they notice, oh, well, you're talking to a new person that you think would be a good fit, or, you know, you're very interested in. And then they suddenly like, and then they see how happy you and free you are. And you're like, I'm excited, like things are going well. And that's also what your ego's doing to self-sabotage as well. But, you know, this is just another branch of what's happening and what's keeping you from this happiness and manifestation stuff. They start seeing this, and I'm seeing this page of rods as like, they start like, I'm seeing like somebody like whittling a spear or something. They're like, all right, well, how can I cut this person down a notch, because I don't like seeing you happy, because they're so dependent on you making them happy, you doing their emotional work for them. And that doesn't work. You can't do that for somebody else. So they're constantly, if they don't have their grip on you, their claws in you, their teeth in you, where they can suck your energy, they're not happy. And by you being happy and moving into higher vibration where they can't drain you, they're going to do something. Well, how can I whittle this wand into a spear and jab them a little bit, hurt them a little bit, so they come back crawling to me, and they have to come, you know, pay attention to me. So yeah, if you had like, you know, a single parent, or your parents split up and then both parents just used you in that emotional incest where you had, and it could be father to son, you know, whatever, take it how it resonates. It's just because I was getting the man of the house song, but it could be however, you know, there's a big group of people watching, but that kept you in this lower vibration, because these people are energy vampires. They don't want to do the work. So they're using your good energy, your ability, your resiliency, your strength, your stability, all of that, to siphon you and hold them together, instead of feeling all the stuff and doing all the work themselves and finding their way through it. They're just using you and your ability to do that. You know, kiss the wounds for them when they need to learn to do it themselves. Damn, some heavy ass shit, man. Fuck. Let's throw some advice cards on there, huh? Let's do some self-care. Oh man, some heavy shit. All right, and I'm kind of like feeling like this tiredness. So like, if they notice that you're like energetic or like happy, they'll try to do something to like pull you back into this tired, drained state, so they can have a better grip on you. They can control you better when you're tired and drained and like overwhelmed. Just be like, oh my God, here we go again. Intuition, yes. Use your intuition, use your discernment, you know, and start getting curious and observing these behaviors within yourself when you self-sabotage and blame others. And notice how I was bringing this up from a parental to child, or, you know, it could be family, friends, whatever. That is a family, familial curse, familial pattern of putting the blame on others. So that's just something to look at. But trust your intuition. If this person, and keep it to yourself, obviously, because as soon as you call, this energy vampire narcissistic person out, they're gonna spin it on you, gaslight, I couldn't think of the word. They're gonna gaslight you, oh, like, you're just, or, use that, like, guilt of, like, how could you say that about your poor mama? I raised you, I loved you so much, I was there every step of the way. Controlling you, and depending on you, stealing your energy. Do not let them listen to your own inner voice. Do not let any of their manipulation tactics, yanking back on that chain, fall back into those relationships, into those karmic ties, into those energetic ties where you're being drained, and keep you from these amazing blessings that you deserve. Don't allow that to fall back. Trust your intuition only. Don't let any bullshit, because that's what they're going to do. If they're narcissistic like this, and I'm not saying they're purposely being this way, they're just emotionally immature. And energy vampires, they like to drain. They don't want to do the work themselves, so they use you to feel better. So use your intuition, trust it. Even if, they try, that initial, like, say you're watching and you think about somebody, and that first initial, like, oh shit, I think that's my mom, or oh shit, like, that's my dad, that's my friend, that's this, blah, 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 uncle, whoever. That's them. If that initial, you saw that and you're like, oh shit, that first initial, like, clear cut, like, dart to the dartboard, that's it. That is your intuition. Do not let the other thoughts, your ego, the energy of these energy vampires, like, cloud your intuition. That is who that was, and you were right with that first initial, like, oh shit, that's who it is. That's them. Do not let anyone else or your thoughts cloud that intuition. If that first initial gut reaction was the truth. Watch a movie. I'm seeing this as just observing these people like it's a show. Instead of, like, getting, understanding this and coming to realization does hurt a lot, but try to pull yourself into a third person perspective to observe the behavior, so you can actually see it for what it is, versus getting, like, caught up in, like, oh, I don't want to hurt my mom, I don't want to hurt my dad, I don't want to hurt my friend, whoever. I don't want to hurt them. So you allow that love, or we've been together, they've raised me, I've known them my whole life, whatever, this time together, whatever. Don't allow that to cloud your vision. So see it as a movie, see it from that third person perspective, and observe the behavior that way, with pulling yourself away from that, like, emotional attachment to, like, oh, I need to be there, I was raised this way. Because family will do that, like, family's forever, family's important. Not if they treat you like shit and try to keep you from your happiness. What the fuck? Fuck that. Make a meal. Just make sure that you're nourishing yourself, especially, like, because this information, and when you get into that third person perspective with the watch a movie card, it might be hard to digest. So maybe, that might send you into this, like, what the fuck? I can't believe this. This is now exposed to me. I understand it now. And like I said, it could be friends even too. They sense that you're, like, moving on, and, like, you might not talk to them all the time, but they sense you're moving on, and so they gotta, like, slither back into your life to make sure that they can, like, still have some sort of, like, oh, well, when I'm not getting what I need from whatever the fuck's going on over there, need to make sure that I can get stuff from them. So that might be, like, hard to digest, but try to find a way to, like, take it into bite-sized pieces so you don't, like, choke on it. That's what I'm hearing. So, like, whatever information you're getting, just, like, take it one thing at a time. Like, yes, you're going to get the whole picture. It's going to be exposed to you because you're watching it from that third person perspective. But just, try to digest each little bite one at a time. You don't have to take the whole story of, like, holy shit, like, this is what's happened, whatever. And we have guard yourself at the bottom of this. So like while you're, you know, coming to the understanding of like, oh my God, this is exposed to me now, especially with like your own self-sabotaging behavior, try to ground yourself, go do something fun, cook yourself a nice meal, whatever you need to do to nourish yourself, to understand, like to be able to like work through this and like take little bite-sized pieces you know, and digest it and be like, damn, that's for real. Like this shit's for real. So ground yourself in these times, whatever that means for you. Eating, exercise, whatever, you know, going back to what makes you feel like a normal person, like, you know, so drinking your coffee, that type of thing. That's for me. But yeah, with my throat being all fucked up from this, they definitely don't want you to know it. So be very open to listening to your intuition and be mindful that they're probably going to gaslight the fuck out of you. So, you know, we have a dream journal here. So, you know, sleep on it, give it time on how you're going to separate that cord. And, obviously that third person perspective when you're interacting with these people, especially with the gaslighting and all of that, that's really going to help you stay grounded in your own intuition, your own inner knowing, and stay strong and like not allow them to push into you, because that's what they've been doing this whole time, pushing into you, guilt tripping you, just acting so dramatic. Oh, I hurt myself. Ooh. Or, you know, just something dramatic happens in their life as soon as, you know, you start getting happy and free. So be aware of that. That third person perspective is really going to help with that watch a movie card. Connect with the earth. See how this chick's like standing out by herself? Like it's okay to isolate yourself from these people and, you know, make up whatever excuse you need to just be like, yo, I need time to like digest all this information, this realization that I found out. Like tell them whatever the fuck you need to tell them, because it's going to be a lot to like, oh shit. And then being alone and away from them, it's going to be easy to like reflect and reel, like with that watch a movie, like reel on their behaviors throughout your whole life or, you know, relationship that you've had with them. And that's going to just take some digesting. All right, babies, I really got to go to work. I love you so much. I hope this was helpful. I'm praying for you. I hope you find, you know, sovereignty from this, you know, from your self-sabotaging behaviors, and safety from these weirdos that are always trying to push on you and depend on you. You energy vampires, gross. All right, babes, I love you so much. Okay, have a good day. Bye.